Welcome back to Spring Playoffs, where G2 can secure their spot in the final with a win in game number 4. Very serious faces from Reckless on stage, along with the rest of the Fnatic crew and G2 Esports. They've got some breathing room, a little bit of space, but they want to close us out 3-1.
Playoff beer definitely being a thing here. Mythy,
they're so focused on practice, they don't have time to shave.
No Gillette sponsorship.
It's not the beard on the outside that counts, it's the beard on the inside that matters.
Do you have a beard on the inside? That's disgusting.
I do indeed, and so far, G2 Esports, they're going to have a little bit of a surprise because Fnatic picked blue side. We were expecting red, we were anticipating it. What does this mean?
I think the big thing here for Fnatic is getting Elise. I actually think they might first pick Elise in this game here because having the Kazakhs, well, Broxah had a few kills early on. Not having a jungler in the early game who brings gank and CC, who can really try and snowball lanes, was a big problem for them. Because they've needed this so much from Broxah in the past few games whenever they've been winning.
And in that brief moment that we had the camera overhead, Fnatic, their attitudes. Remember how game 2 we started and be like, yeah, Reckless, he's smiling, he's laughing with his team. Everybody seems so happy. They look deflated, like they were just robbed of any sentiment.
We go back to banning Orianna now, something they did before this series here. Perkz had obviously 2 good games on it. Well, actually he had 2 games on it where one was okay and one was kind of, he couldn't really do anything in the other one. Like, Perkz has been doing fine in all his games, especially the Echo one in the end.
Now, Fnatic, they used against H2K the sense that H2K always went for the same few bans, right? But right now, they've consistently been banning out this Varus, and then in the next phase, the Ashe and the Caitlyn, and I feel like it gridlocks them into a very predictable pattern, where Sven is just fine playing whatever.
So Shen, Elise, I don't think they're gonna first pick Kennen on the side of Fnatic, unless they feel like they really need it for Reckless, but Elise for me is just such a big pick for Fnatic right now, that it almost gets more value than the Shen, unless they want Lee Sin. If they go Lee Sin this time, I think this is fine.
Why don't they go Ezreal themselves, steal it away from Sven and leave him with like the dog pile of like BT or AD carries?
That is a good question. Maybe they don't feel like... Well, actually, this is still fine in the early levels. So, renecting the Elise could be a draft here for G2. Elise definitely should come through, in my opinion.
Rumble is also something Expect can lock in. Something he's played in the past. Ooh, throwback. This is his playoff. Playoff GP is always good for Expect.
Is it Lee Sin time then, Broxah? There needs to be a change.
It has to be.
They need him to be able to gank so effectively early game. And if they still value the Shen over the Elise, that was a pick where Trick fell behind.
Yeah.
But then managed to bounce back. Do the lane swap, of course. I mean, yeah, there it is. I think this explains why the Shen first pick happens.
I would like Lee Sin Ezreal here. Ooh, blind Kayle. It was never banned out. There's no reason to pick it this early. Like, that's a surprise.
Kale's early
What do you run into this? What do you run into Kayle?
If you pick something with a strong laning phase, you can actually put Kayle really far behind.
Wait, did he not play Kayle support or mention it in the in-house?
Kayle support has definitely been a thing beforehand. I know a lot of supports, even over in LCK, kind of using a little bit in solo queue.
Yeah, it was the unrated special, and when you watch the in-houses that the players play, Jesus was jokingly saying he could play this champion, so there is the off chance that they reveal it so early just to say, you know what, it's not going mid this time.
Yeah, there is definitely a chance. You don't have to show it then, but it is also a little bit, maybe mind games, it is a flex after all, and they really want to see what G2 is picking before they show potentially mid then, and of course AD carry. Cassiopeia, I think, would be a good pick here just for early lane pressure, because if it is Kayle mid lane, it's all about 2 items. Once you hit 2 items, you're ready, and you can like 1v9 the entire game. But before you hit that point, you're not that strong.
Well, they're finally changing up their pick and ban pattern here. Ashe or Caitlyn will go through for Sven. But he may not care at this point. He's been so comfortable on this Ezreal.
I mean, but this was a little bit what we talked about in the pick and ban phase last game, how you keep banning these AD carries and still give Sven what is considered a very high tier comfort pick for him. So I think he's kind of like laughing at your Caitlyn ban in a sense, being like, sure, you can keep banning that. We want Ashe anyway, most likely here, or we want Ezreal common. So like, he's getting all these picks. I don't think he cares at all about those AD carry bans.
Yeah, this is the first time Ashe has been open. Let's see if Fnatic were right in banning it out, and Sven goes for the Ashe, or if he just goes for the, maybe even just the support pick and caters his AD carry pick as a little bit of a counter matchup.
There it is.
Just the Ashe. So much crowd control effects here.
It's crazy, yeah.
So locked in, confirmed. Fnatic, now they reveal their hand. Kayle support or Kayle mid? And Reckless, what does he play? Does he go Tristana again or Ezreal now that is available?
Yeah, the problem is all the good matchups into Ashe have been banned out by Fnatic themselves. So I don't really see the point in banning Varus Caitlyn and leaving Ashe open.
I agree 100% on that point. They clearly were respecting the Malzahar so much. To take that away has been a pick that they banned in the first phase normally. Camille coming in with Shen locked in. It kind of shows that it's going to be Camille support, Kayle mid.
Give me the Vayne, baby.
And we're just missing the AD carry.
Hyper carry Vayne.
With Camille support.
Kayle ulti, Shen ultimate, and then you realize you're still playing Vayne, you go down 80 CS.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue for them. I think this draft is so risky.
It's just, but there's nothing left, that's the problem. Like, just play Ezreal, I guess. But you need to snowball. Ezreal is just too slow. If you pick Ezreal here, you come into the situation where you just get pushed in all your lanes early on.
But I feel like you still do that with Tristana.
But at least you can fight your way out. If you get pushed in as an Ezreal lane, you just yield. You say, my lord, please take my turret. And it's over. These guys are going for a bot lane party with Lee Sin. That's the only way out. And then Tahm Kench is actually a really nice counter.
Well, you mentioned it. Risky drop
care about your counter, Mitch.
From Fnatic. But risky, it's potentially the last game of the spring split for Fnatic. Why not go risky? That's a lie, because they'll be in the third place match. And Miffy has locked in Thresh.
The funny story about Thresh here, I was actually watching those in-houses you talked about yesterday, and Miffy on this Camille was playing against Mickey on Thresh, and he just kept
flaying every E.
Flaying every single E, every single hook shot from this Camille. What Camille needs to do is actually sit on the wall for a little bit and try and bait the flay.
Yeah, so you can get the first part where he jumps to the wall, you can flay that. You can flay the second part once he jumps off. Yes, you can wait out, but you can also flash flay a Tristana mid-jump into instant hook too. It's actually quite easy to flash flay a Tristana jump because it has such a long buffer time. Like, if it ever comes to skirmish, it's a super fun matchup. The problem is, the way G2 plays, I don't think we'll see any of those mechanics, really.
I mean, this entire game should be decided the first, like, 10 to 20 minutes, because this Kayle, if it gets ahead, if it gets a good laning phase, with a Shen ulti, a support will go to a side lane and be unstoppable. But she's so weak until that point with 2 fully completed items, so G2 Esports should have a lot of control in the early game from mid and bot lane with these drafts.
Oh, timing pressure then for Fnatic. Go big or go home. Fnatic are fighting for a spot to play in Hamburg on Sunday in the Championship Series for a shot at MSI and another split title. However, if Fnatic lose, they will play on Saturday in the third place for championship points and to set themselves up for Worlds. Caps on his Kayle. Pulled it out in week 10 of the EU LCS and had a phenomenal play.
I just want to add, Caps on a blind pick Kayle in the second phase. No one in the world will do that.
It's Fnatic's animal style. They are unleashed off the chains. And let's find out if it's enough to take down G2 and force the deciding game. Game number 4, Fnatic versus G2. Timing window as we leave Pride Rock to take a look at who is Simba and who is Mufasa in this game. Too far, I know. But I went with it.
I watched that movie too.
We all cried, Trevor.
Special place for me growing up in South Africa. Reminded me a lot of home.
Yeah. Were you one of the hyenas?
I was going to say, you lived a very wild style.
Have you heard
there.
my voice? I sound exactly like those hyenas.
I was judging it off your face.
Oh, damn.
Oh. All right. Thanks, Perks. You don't have to laugh at the joke either.
All right. Broxa and Drake, I think these are the influential persons in the early games.
People.
Spell corrected by the official.
There you go.
That's
Mitch.
a low one for me.
Well, sometimes after a long series, I have to carry you anyway, but I accept it.
You're my Samwise.
Would be
Mitch,
great if
Mitch,
you could...
hold on. Mitch, be humble. Sit down. Fnatic right now. Let's take a look at this laning phase, okay? Cassio, Perks, gonna have a lot of fun in the early stages. Does Broxa come to try help out, or is this literally just kind of Caps? Don't lose too bad and hope we can win later.
Oh, you can definitely come.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, I didn't direct that one.
No, it's
I
really...
just like you point between us, you're like...
It was pointing at us, and then the fight over who talks first. If you watch Faker play Cassio, he goes like ham on the first levels with E-spam, and he goes down to 40% mana.
So you're saying Perks is not Faker?
Perks is not Faker.
Interesting flame. Not sure I can join in right there.
It's a choice. I'm not saying it's the right one. This is obviously really rough early laning phase here. Look how G2, I think they still overpushed a tad. But they're looking to punish on level 2. They're 2 creeps away. And then they're going to poke them on their turret because neither of these guys really survive a hook very well. And that's why if you play it like this on Thresh, you stack a massive wave. And if Tristana wants to go for losses, which is really tricky on a turret, especially since she keeps screwing herself over with the E.
The classic, an old school one.
Yeah.
We never decided to help it that way. Kept it like that, but
can't toggle.
Again, when it comes to Camille's support here, Jesse's picked it against Zyra in the last series, and he picked it after Zyra was already locked in. With the Thresh counter pick here from Mithy to try and use the Flay to interrupt that hookshot, it is very effective. Trick will find
He's in the brush, he finds him. He's
dead. Beautiful play. Broxah's got a few seconds to survive. Repel comes up. Trick, first blood.
And we have to go back to what Mithy just did in the river. Mithy, he pushed up and walked into the river. It looked like he was warding and walked back, right? He was actually checking for Scuttle Crab to see if maybe Broxah ended up there. If Broxah wasn't doing Scuttle Crab, that means he was on the other side of the jungle and Trick could actually reliably find him. Pretty cool synergy on both sides of the map right there.
Great communication as well from G2.
And also can explain G2's aggressive push early on to try and actually allow Mithy to leave the lane for a few seconds to go check that river. Trick is topside now. He is spotted by a ward. Also ganking for GP early on kind of sucks. He doesn't really add a whole lot to your gank this early. Mid lane though is also very key. We talk so much about the Kale from Caps because it is such a power pick after 2 items. But it's very, very important to remember after 2 items because it is hard to get there. Your laning phase consists of a lot of just hit the minions. Just slap them left and right, push the wave, and not really look for massive trades or skirmishes.
Yeah, definitely not. So much respect here early on from Reckless. Gets flayed, immediately goes out. This is the highlight reel.
So the push, Mithy walks up to check the Rift Scuttler. It is not taken. He walks back down. So there's actually 3 separate things. You know, it's pushing early game down the bot lane, maybe over pushing slightly for what you would normally look at, but then it's so he can leave and check the Rift Scuttler.
Oh, and it's so dirty.
Perfect time.
Constantly in fog of war. Broxah does not see him coming.
Great play in game number 4 here for G2. Gives them first blood. Mithy again with a very good play. Jesus trades a couple autos back.
So there is a trick you can do in lane. Usually you want to... The problem with Thresh is you can't hook through minions, right? So what you can do is walk up until the ranged minions, flay a target and the ranged minions at once. And in doing so, you actually place the ranged minions behind you, and then you can hook straight into the face of whoever thought he was safe behind the minions. Problem is, if you mess that up a little bit, you end up hooking a minion. But it's one of those ways to be super aggressive on Thresh and surprise your opponents with a hook flay combo.
We're gonna see Mithy though try and not use his flay too aggressively because he knows at this point that the way back in this lane for Fnatic is a gank from Lee Sin. And flay from Thresh not only does it work against the hookshot, it also works against, of course, Lee Sin when he jumps in. So he needs that ability ready. And if he goes all in with it aggressively, there's actually an opening for Fnatic to gank.
Well, talking about openings to gank, look at Trick's first build. Dark Seal and Moby Boots after that first blood and first clear. Going to be an absolute menace and terror across the map if you can land those cocoons a little more accurately than we saw in the previous game.
It's actually a sign of big respect that you cocoon in the way that Trick did there, because most mid laners juke in. So you actually respect Caps to be on 2 tiers ahead of you by walking straight.
So what you saw here from Broxah, if we go down to him, he actually pathed into the Dragon Pit and walked around now here, so he's on the other side where there's another blast gun he can take into the brush to make sure and no river ward could actually spot him from Mithy and Sven. But now Mithy's flay
not available yet. Stand United being channeled down, taunt up under the tower. It's a party in the bottom lane, and Fnatic get the snacks.
Very important here, expect. Didn't want to use TP back to lane, knowing that he might need it to join a Shen on the bottom side. He's actually down slightly in experience, meaning there was no ulti from him to help. Probably wouldn't have done a whole lot in this situation, but this is what you can always do with Shen.
But in the end, what is truly lost here, except some breathing room? Sven is still getting the CS under the turret. Trick is covering. Expect will hit level 6, and now with the TP and the ultimate down, Fnatic may actually want to swap. Perhaps, because otherwise Expect can actually go and either TP or ultimate in the bottom lane.
It is very hard though to swap against Gangplank.
Yeah, that's true.
Due to his ulti, always being able to kind of clear out the entire wave when someone gets to the tower.
So regardless if they swap or not, they should get punished for using so much in such a short time frame without really getting a big yield.
Here we saw an AD carry by items. Caps got
turn too slow.
Great stun from Perkz. Caps not able to dodge just yet. Holds on to his flash. Look at Jesus. sitting in the Raptor camp. I'm looking if G2 want to go for some sort of invade. Divine intervention there. Caps, almost taken down by that cannon barrage.
It's going to be mid lane tower taking a lot of damage now. This is what we talk about again with how weak Kayle is early. A problem also with Caps getting stunned by perks. So he has to use TP back to lane and needs to just maximize farm. All he cares about right now.
All right, we're 7.5 minutes in. Fnatic did not try any weird and wonderful shenanigans in the early game. Straight up laning, didn't go for an early lane swap. Despite having struggles in that bottom lane and even giving up first blood for Broxah, Fnatic turned around with a good party at least once.
Yeah, at least once. And once this lane hits level 6, it's obviously much more potent against an Ashe. You can just have Camille jump on the Ashe, block the arrow from melee range, and then allow Reckless to jump in, pop E, get 5 stacks, and that will refresh his jump. So he can always match it against another flash distance. So on both level 6, it's really imperative that Sven always plays behind Mithy, and Mithy tries to flay the jump from Reckless.
It is fun to see, though, Fnatic now, after they lost 2 games, kind of changed up a lot of what they were doing successfully the last 2 weeks. I think what they realized is that G2, because they play that slow style, will often let games go to like 35, 40 minutes. So with Tristana, with Kayle, they have a lot of scaling on their side now. Even Camille supporting the late game, where they can single out that one target, can be extremely effective. So it feels like they're a Fnatic who needed to snowball early game, always to win. It's not the Fnatic we see on stage right now. We see actually a team saying, let's change it. Let's go late game, because G2 will go late game, and then maybe we can outscale them and outplay them then.
Yeah, G2 also stole one of these really early game strong junglers in Elise with a build that is all catered around snowballing early, but that will then also fall off a little bit later. Lee Sin does scale, in my opinion, slightly better for late game engages than an Elise does, especially this Moby Darksteel one.
Brox has shown multiple times this split. He's got the mechanics to make those plays happen. Actually quite famously turning away from Casio ultimates earlier in the splits.
And Mithy right now is sitting on Boots Ruby. He based on like 750 gold, which means they only have trinkets, and they usually always place it towards the river. If Reckless and Jez's lean left, it allows for Broxah to actually connect the Q in the brush. And Jez still has that ultimate available.
Hextech ultimatum. Broxah's got flash kick available. If Mithy and Sven just overextend at all, Broxah hasn't found an opportunity yet.
So much respect. They just assume the brush is warded, but
I think just they know that there's really only one lane to gank. Like, ganking GP at this point with the Shen is fairly difficult for Fnatic unless they send multiple members. And ganking for Kayle in mid lane, as we talked about earlier, is very hard as well. There's no CC setup for you.
Oh, threading the needle. Mithy finds the death sentence. Cannon barrage, not going to be enough to pick up a kill yet. Jesus was caught up by the enchanted crystal arrow, and the long-range hook shot gets him to safety.
I feel like I'm being a really negative Nancy here, but Mithy flayed very early. Could have kept auto-attacking plus popped your lantern. You can always cancel any of the dashes.
Negative Nancy's going to be a sad. Mithy going to flay Jesus away, but he's locked inside the ultimatum. Reckless has got one. Here comes Trick. Reckless leaps over the wall, flashes back in for the fight. Now he's looking for Trick, who's repelled up, trying to get away. Reckless, no flash available. Not going to be able to find another.
Oh, Perks is on the way as well. We can talk about that little play from Fnatic after.
Perks, flash petrifying gaze is available. Broxah, gonna be a sacrifice here. Didn't want to run the risk of getting caught under the tower.
Oh, due to Perks controlling the mid lane, he can roam first and join here. So in the end, end up trading kills on both sides. No ulti from Expect, obviously, because it was used in that earlier trade.
Yeah, no teleport for Caps either, because he used it, then this goes all the way back to the first Shen ulti. The way that evolved is Caps lost his teleport, but what's really important here, like, I like that Fnatic is willing to go aggressive, but there's a communication error here. Look at Reckless in this fight, jumps in, gets under pressure, goes for the reset out because he's scared of Trick. Instead of going into the lane, he goes over the wall and then flashes back in because he doesn't expect the Shen ulti.
So the hard thing here is the fact that he was actually standing next to Jessis, and there's a high chance Source was maybe calling that he was actually ulting on the Camille. Because they're right next to each other. If he's just clicking down in the fight, and Camille was the one who got hit by the stun from Elise, so Reckless maybe didn't expect it to actually hit him. Interesting enough, though, I like that flash from Jessis, because we talked so much about the flay on the hookshot. He knew that could happen, so he just flashes in with the second part of hookshot, and therefore he stuns Mithy instantly and locks him down.
Optimistic, I feel, from Perks.
It's in these patterns where people are stepping back and forth, you can really surprise them. If that hits, that's a genius play. If it misses, yeah, then it's a bit of a funk.
What I like, though, is it also now adds that element of doubt, right? Next time Caps has to sit under tower, if Perks is willing to throw that one out. I'm looking down the CS lists. There's no real advantages yet. G2 with the kill advantage and small numbers. They've got themselves about 1,000 gold lead.
Caps has teleport very, very soon. And he could definitely surprise his bottom lane in some of these deep wards.
Instead, he's going to jump into a fight right now.
It's just a scary thing, because like it looks good for G2 at the moment. They're winning the early game. Fnatic is playing this more late game style all of a sudden. We have to see if they can even play that later on. But at the same time, that one little play where Caps gets 1 or 2 kills, and this game is just wide open, and he might actually be able to carry. So it is a super tricky situation for them, but it's knocked down to the bottom lane. We'll find 2
Look at
wards.
all of these wards. 1, 2, I can count 5 on one screen already.
Yeah, but there's one in between and it's almost expiring. That's the sad part about it. If that ward lived just a little bit longer.
It's just because you have a game where the top lane is not interesting to gank, because both of them have globals they want to use on the other side of the map. You then have a bot lane with a Tristana and Camille combo, which is an all-in combo, and then you have the Ash Arrow on the other side. So all focus on the bottom lane. That's why you have all the wards down there. That's why everyone is looking at it.
Perkz going under the tower. Caps has enough mana for his ultimate.
They changed it. Isn't it no mana right now?
I believe so. Checking. No cost.
No cost, yeah. That's one of the quality of life changes they did to Kayle, because she goes low on mana and you think, yeah, I got him. He can't ulti now. Turns out it's free.
There is often a rule when you run TP mid lane that the first teleport you're allowed to use to your lane. Now the second teleport you need to save, because you need to use it to kind of have some impact on the map. But when you're playing the Kayle, it is okay to just keep using TP back to lane, because you need farm, baby.
Broxah sidesteps a petrifying gaze. So again, that'll just give a little bit of breathing room to Caps again at that mid lane.
It means he can actually aggressively start pushing forward instead of having to always be wary of a potential ulti. Because even if you kind of sidestep or turn around from the ulti, if it still slows you, it's enough for Trick to get close for Cocoon, of course.
And now the build, in case people haven't seen Kayle made a whole lot, Nashor's into Rage Blade is what we're looking for. The fully completed Rage Blade combined with Fervor of Battle means that when he's sitting there and hitting away, he stacks them up really quickly, both of them, and he starts getting so much on-hit damage. Combine them with the Nashor's Tooth damage as well, and the Rage Blade. It's really hard to deal with in these prolonged fights. Obviously, Fnatic are not running a ton of shields, so the way for Caps to stay alive, if he is in a fight, is his own ulti. It's very important, but he becomes a very strong split pusher as well.
That's going to be very useful for Fnatic. He talked about item builds. If you look at the minimap, first item spikes basically picked up across the board here. Blade of the Ruined King, Nash's Tooth Spin, almost going to finish his Blade of the Ruined King, Rod of Ages for Perkz.
Yeah, Broxah, he's sneaking this Dragon Pick. Fnatic, they went on a mission to sweep Vision in the brushes, but they forgot one control ward.
Ooh, this is good.
It's a good roam here.
So important.
Under the tower. Expect's got a big mini wave in front of him. Cannon Barrage to try and clear this one out. Flashes away. Dragon's picked up by Fnatic, and Trick has been able to buy some time. Rather, Expect bought some time. Repel comes up in the air. Intervention's available. Caps decides he wants to squash a little spider. Itsy Bitsy Spider goes down. Perkz is now the target. Caps has still got intervention available to buy some additional time. Holding on to it for now, waiting for one more Twin Fang.
Now we gotta look bot lane very soon. Source is going back here. He has ulti ready on the Shen, and there are 3 guys bottom lane chasing.
Caps decides to turn around, gets a couple of swipes on that Righteous Fury. There's fights.
There's too many things bot lane.
There's too many things happening because Broxah got one onto Miffy, and there's a follow-up as Rekkles gets a kill onto Sven. Expect decides to teleport under. Here comes Rekkles. Summon a heal. Expect. Oh, that's a double kill for Rekkles.
And this is actually huge. This is all on the back of how good Caps is on Kayle. He bought so much time. It looked like him and Soaz were just getting collapsed on. Soaz joined this fight. He never died.
I really like that play, yes, from Soaz specifically. Leave Caps to die. Step away so you can join the bottom lane, but at the same time also Fnatic knowing, hey, there are 3 G2 guys on the top side. Broxah come bot lane instantly. They reacted with the cross map so fast, and G2's bottom lane didn't get to leave in time.
Hold up! What's that coming over the hill? Is that a Broxah? Kicks him into Soaz. Petrifying Stun. Manages to lock down Soaz, but Miffy is here for support.
It's a Perkz.
Soaz goes down. There was no damage to back up Broxah.
Yeah, buying into their own hype here. Fnatic, which team goes for a 2-man roam top while soloing Dragon and then playing aggressive on the bot side? They're playing aggressive on all fronts. Again, look at how Caps punishes Trick. The second he uses the repel, it's over. Squashes the spider. Soaz then passed to the bottom lane, and Caps, he's just showing this kill pick. Fnatic is surprising Z2. They're not used to so much damage.
They're definitely not, but also bot lane as well. You can see how Brox is already ready. At this point here, you know on the side of Fnatic there's 3 guys from G2 top lane. TP from Expect, you don't care about Gangplank TP. That is not a good teleport to use because GP is such a weak fighter at this point. Just brings his ulti. Mithy staying actually under this tower. Sven joining the fight as well. Oh, he misclicked the lantern.
He accidentally clicked on it.
That was not on purpose. He just misclicked the lantern. Mithy should have just backed away way before. And of course, that lantern.
And Reckless healed Soaz too. Like, that was a really good save there.
Oh, that cost them so much.
As we jump out of the replay, G2 are still ahead 2,000 gold. They managed to get 2 towers to the single that Fnatic was able to pick. Jezz throws down the ultimatum because Brox is here to help out. The powder keg is going to get popped. Jezz takes some damage, but it's Broxa that gets his 3rd kill of the game. 3-2 and 2. Trick flashed for the cocoon and didn't find it.
4v3 on the top side and 1v2 on the bottom side, but it's so easy for Shen to hold. Ashe isn't ramped up enough to really punish the Shen pick, and at least Soaz can buy a lot of time.
That's what he's doing right now. You have to look at the carries for Fnatic.
He's got the wave. That's really important because it means G2 is much slower on this 2nd tier push because a few minions is enough if Reckless joins. He was doing Crux for some reason, I guess maximizing. And this is the power of Tristana. Demolitionist takes down these turrets in a jiffy.
Is this where Fnatic fans start to believe again? Fnatic in a head-to-head game, standard lanes, even with losing lanes, doing so well even as we get to 20 minutes.
Because this other late game threat on the side of Fnatic, the Tristana is now sitting on 3 kills, 3 assists, 2 fully completed items at 18 minutes into the game. This is huge for Reckless as a carry, and it's no longer just about caps and this Kayle here. And it all comes down to those placed like a minute or 2 ago, where suddenly the top lane ends up hurting G2 so much because they misclick the lantern and Mithy overstays.
Bad movement. And Caps has the great movement. Like, pro players joke about this guy has insane movement when he jukes a skill shot or something, but this guy has actually been so cognizant of when to use flash, when to use ulti. You can really see what he's doing. He's playing so smart, but he's executing it every single time. A lot of players would wish they could wait until they see a projectile flying at their face and then press Kayle ulti. Most of the time they die before they realize, probably should have used that, you know? This guy, he's so smart when it comes to low HP, clutch moves. And I think that is great for Fnatic's future, if they can nurture Caps as a player more.
I think it's also crucial to note, not only Caps and Reckless and Brox are doing so well. On the side of G2, Perkz 2-0 on that Cassio, plus 40 CS, and now G2 will get themselves their 4th tower of the game, still in a great position.
And now we're going to get another trade situation where Fnatic already going for the tower in the bottom lane, and G2 want to get the tower on top lane. This is where Gangplank is really good with his ulti to try and clear out these waves here.
Tristana's also not there. They're pushing without their key member. They're still going to get the turret because Soaz can tank. But they're also losing Nashor control. They have to get back there soon, Fnatic, if they want to stop G2, because this is a GP on the Baron 2, much better than the traditional tank.
Cassiopeia in here as well. They're very strong 2-0-1, burning it down. It's going down so quickly.
Caps gets caught up by the Ashe Arrow. The death sentence. Stand United is the target, but G2 have got Baron. That's 20 minutes and 30 seconds. Reckless and the rest of Fnatic want to clean up. Reckless is going to leave into the pit. Locked! The ultimatum sends Sven packing. It's a double kill for Reckless. He's going to once again rocket jump over the wall. Expect sidesteps at least the Sonic Wave. Fnatic 5-on-3 for 30 seconds.
Really good Baron call over from G2 at first, but I wonder if they could just have bursted it down instead of turning a little bit for Caps and then use the flashes over the wall to get out with as many members as possible. Fnatic gets a tower.
Jesus goes in with a hook shot, saved for a moment or 2 before the Twin Fang takes him out. Caps, his intervention is on cooldown. Expect is chasing with the parlay. In goes Broxa. Dragon's Rage kick. Perkz, lanterns out to safety. This is 4-on-3. Reckless is looking for more. He's got the game. He's shut down. Expect kills the People's Champion Reckless. Now Fnatic are looking at the tower. G2, they've held on for a few long minutes.
Oh, such a close fight again now. This game is fantastic. So many small things happening left and right. Reckless 1 shot away from taking down Perkz, but before that, Perkz playing such a good fight. There's more,
We're not
Trevor.
done. We're
Keep
not
yelling.
done. Soaz, he's in trouble. Loud noises. Broxah gets caught up by the death sentence. Intervention buys a few seconds of time. He can't connect to the sonic wave. Flash, slap. Caps takes one down. Now he's dropped. This Sven's got a double kill in reply. It's a 2,000 gold lead for G2. They've still got Baron, and now they want Infernal.
Ooh, we need to wait for the highlight reel to see just how many nice side flashes there were. There was Reckless going in, completely shifting attention. There was Broxah with the kick flash, hesitated for a second, but then found Perkz. Perkz also flashed onto the lantern. But it all started with this.
So here I wonder if G2 could just purely burst down this Baron and then try and flash out with as many members, because Mythic can even lantern out, trick if needed. But they actually turned, so they wasted a bit of time there. This now means that Fnatic can actually come in here and stop them and get a few kills. Stop them from recall. Look at Perkz here. Look at Perkz in this fight, and look at his flash. Moving in and out, he's 1v5 at this point. He knows Broxah will Q flash him, so he's actually flashing at the same time. Wait for the Lee Sin, there you go, he flashes at the same time, doesn't get knocked back as far, and that's where the Lantern is then in position to save
It was right next to him, and then Reckless, he goes for, honestly, the genius play. If that hit goes on Perkz, Perkz can't return damage, Reckless gets a double kill, leap, triple kill, turret, plus inhib. It was one auto attack away from, honestly, just making a massive play there. That has to feel so bad for Reckless right there.
And then right after, another really good quick Lantern from Mithy gets Perkz to safety. So many players in these fights just made so many good mechanical plays on both sides that are worth celebrating. It's almost like we should do the replay again, just to talk about some other players.
Yeah, well, we'll get a chance to do that later, gentlemen, because G2, they've got 5 towers down now. Fnatic 5 of their own. But look at the kill scores. 5, 1, and 4 for Reckless. 3, 0, 3 for Perkz. Sven, 3, 2, and 1. Every single player is getting involved. You can see the G2 support staff. That's how it feels, Ocelot.
Oh, he's still 2 and 1 up. Fnatic has to be feeling worse. Sven getting cornered, or Soaz getting cornered. You can decide that soon.
Wait, is this Soaz overextending a little bit?
Let's see how Houdini escapes.
Well, Cannon Barrage may end this desire. Ash Arrow was used by Sven.
Stuck in the tank.
Nothing you can do with it. Caps this time round.
I always say, when you look at Kayle, you gotta look at 2 items.
Okay. And?
No, I don't know, like that's all I heard.
Ooh, he's actually running Storm Raiders in this game and not the Fervor that we see often from Kayle. Interesting choice. Obviously, it's very easy to proc it and get their movement speed. Does reduce his damage a little bit when it comes to the late game. It's still enough.
It actually explains why in the jungle, when he was being chased by Perkz, he would randomly turn around for some damage to proc the Storm Raiders and escape much faster.
But the production was baiting us, not showing any keystones for like 20 minutes.
Well, they showed it in the end. We've got the information out there, and he talked about reduced damage as far as the keystone is concerned. What about Reckless at 5, 1, and 4? Once again, going towards his frozen mallets, even when he's so fed.
I mean,
should that be a bit more traditional?
Perkz walked out of range. If he would have only had a frozen mallet to slow him, he would have gotten that last auto attack in.
Would have gotten it. Also, we got more HP and wouldn't have died, you know, when they actually caught him there. It is a Reckless special that I don't see from a lot of other AD carries right now, where it is more focused on getting the HP than just straight up damage.
Yeah, but if you compare it to Sven is unleashed in the fight and protected well, he will eventually take over.
Yeah, I just want to talk real quick about the Black Cleaver on Ashe. The idea behind it is when you use your ranger's focus to Q, you actually instantly, with the Hurricane, can get 5 stacks of the Black Cleaver on 3 targets. Because Black Cleaver is not based on pure on-hit, it's just based on dealing physical damage. And you get like so many shots down at the same time with the ranger's focus that you instantly apply the stack. So when you play Ashe with multiple physical damage dealers, like a Gangplank in this game here, it actually buffs them off as well. And then it's really good. If there's no other physical damage dealers, go Infinity Edge.
And Gangplank obviously benefits greatly from that armor reduction. He still has it built in the power to kick too. Not as brutal as it used to be, so he will have to build Last Whisper eventually.
Trick decides to rappel up under the tower as Sven puts a lot of damage down. Caps is going to be supporting the rest of Fnatic as they make their way up.
Soaz is in base, so they're definitely looking for a reactionary play to hard engage. They can put the Shen ulti on Broxah, on Jezis, or even on Reckless if he wants to jump in. So Fnatic have a ton of possibilities and a few heavy-hitting champions.
And we talked so much about how Fnatic were investing into the late game all of a sudden. They were changing the style up, and now it's, you know, Tristana, Kayle, these champions. it's not like G2's late game is weak by any means. Like, they have Ashe, Cassiopeia, GP, like all very, very strong late game carries at the same time. So it's going to be that pure skill matchup.
And if we can just take a look at the team's gold, or the player's gold rather, Expect with 250 CS, 5 towers to his name, and the GP passive is currently 3,000 gold up over Soaz.
I don't believe it until I see it.
Well, hopefully the observers will toggle that gold value in just a moment or two. There we go. 9,000.
Expect actually 3k ahead, Trev.
I'm so glad I've got you here to help me out.
Jez is going in, looking for perks. Ultis, he can't get out there. Lantern will not work. Reckless needs to be careful, though.
A lot of damage going down onto Jez. That's a very good Lantern. Death Sentence goes out. Soaz is on the front line. Defensive flash from Broxah. Expect takes a lot of hits from that Righteous Fury. Jez is still doing battle with perks. Petrifying Gaze was already used, and where is the intervention? Caps sends it on himself. Is swinging for days before he's sent to the fountain. Now Soaz is the target. A flash forward from Perks and the rest of G2 as the Twin Fang is doing work.
That was a great idea from Fnatic. Engagement Sven is not there. Again, be early on the trigger. But the problem is they didn't get enough damage and CC down onto Perks until the effect wore off. And then Lantern from Mithy was so crucial.
Broxah is trying again. He's behind them.
But they know.
They do know. They see him. Okay, he's dead.
Yeah, Broxah's going to get taken down. Very good play here from Mithy. Broxah survives with a Sonic Wave. Smites for some HP and makes it out alive.
Another thing, once we get the replay of that fight, to remember is Camille can jump extremely far with a hook shot. She's not bringing anyone with her. Like, she jumps in. You can see how the rest of Fnatic are still really far behind.
Shen ulti is very late, though, because if she jumps in, she can bring Shen, and then the taunt can buy enough time for Reckless and Caps to get there. So this is, yeah, just a minor error in execution in honestly what is a rapidly changing environment, so it's definitely understandable, but it may cost Fnatic the game and their chance at playing the finals in Hamburg.
And now it gets very hard also for Kayle, because you're not really based on burst, you're based on getting these multiple hits down. But in an open fight, when your front line is already out of the fight, as we see here with Soaz on the Shen, you don't really have anyone protecting you. And yes, your own ulti works, just for a few seconds, and then you will die very quickly. So Caps relies a lot on Broxah, Jesse, Soaz in front of him. But when they jump in one by one and then jump out one by one, then Caps is left alone.
All right, as it stands, Fnatic are left defending their base. Sven with a big respect flash to get out of dodge. Jesus gets caught up by the Ashe Arrow after using the ultimatum. But the Cannon Barrage and the G2 support, they've already taken the tower.
Yeah, exactly here. G2 Esports, they know whenever Jesse jumps in, the rest of Fnatic can't follow in time. Reckless, Caps, they just were not in position to follow. And that means they can just quickly kill the Camille and then take down the tower.
Turning their attention to the mid inhibitor, G2 with the monumental lead in Game 4.
They're about to do it again. 3 splits, 3 finals is what's on the line here for the G2 organization in such a consistent fashion. No highlight reel moments to really bring back. It's like, oh, this was the play, but always just calculated and calm. But Fnatic did put them to the test this series, and they showed that, honestly, with some fire, some passion, you can catch them off guard.
Some passion.
Some passion.
I mean, Fnatic brought a lot of passion for the last 3 weeks. It was, you know, there was anticipation at how well Fnatic would play this series. They've got themselves a gigantic hole to play back from, and look at Jez's just...
Yeah, it's only really Reckless who gets in with like 1 or 2 autos, and then he can't follow up with anything. Caps was still running over there, and Source wasn't available to fight.
And they also have a comp that kites so well. Cassiopeia, Ashe, and GP, you do not want to blindly run forward into these picks, unless they're crowd controlled.
All right, Reckless fancies his chances. Yeah, he's got that frozen mallet. Look at the slow, taking a lot of damage in melee range of Expect. Super minions coming to help out. Finally, Expect goes down. Jesus decides to hookshot. Look at the minimap. G2 say, we don't care about the fight. They want the base. Third inhibitor will be the target, which means Fnatic somehow have to defend against double super minions.
Sacrifice Expect, a classic G2 strategy. It worked for them here when it comes to getting that inhib.
Petrifying Gaze doesn't stun anybody out. Brox is looking for a target, and Perks will be the man. He's got no stun. That's a shutdown. 58-second death timer, but the only objective is deep inside G2 territory. Now Mithy goes down. Soaz decides to teleport for this. That'll be another very big death timer. How much can Fnatic take?
Well, they can take a lot of minions because they have super minions everywhere. So this is a a pause for Fnatic where they get to just farm 3 lanes. They get to get further towards a full late game.
They've done this in the past, but they had the Victor. That's the problem.
And they didn't play G2.
And they didn't play G2.
That was another problem.
Yeah. Well, they did play the strongest late game surging team, no?
They didn't, they lost.
Well, Fnatic definitely have to find some sort of miracle, some sort of Nexus play. Earlier I talked about sort of the legacy. You know, Fnatic 5-time LCS champions, G2 2 times. Now Fnatic need to somehow channel their legacy Nexus defense and Nexus styles to pull back a miracle.
And I know a lot of fans obviously want to see Fnatic make the final, cheering for them and this like fantastic streak they were on coming into the quarterfinals. But at the same time, I also think if they end up losing this game, we have to just take a step back and say that is actually very acceptable still for Fnatic. This was a team that was 1 game away from not even making playoffs.
Yep. Remarkable growth here.
It's fantastic to see how much they actually changed once they made a few changes within like the team. And the
mentality, I think.
Mentality and their play style, the picks they were using. So from like week 9 until now, the growth has been fantastic, and it's really positive signs for when it comes into Summer Split.
And even if Fnatic fall here, hang on, Mythi under siege.
Reckless is able to at least buffer that rocket jump. Soaz is able to flash away from the death sentence. Here comes Expect over the wall. Soaz is forced to run through the cannon barrage, and that means Fnatic 50 seconds in a 5v4. Trick may actually go down here. Jesus and Caps find him. So 4-on-4 base defense for Fnatic.
Why was Trick up there? Anyway, it doesn't matter. G2 pushing in with super minions. They want to see if they can get down at least 1 turret.
Petrifying Gaze is available for perks. Fnatic cannot afford to get caught. Take a look at those powder kicks bouncing across. Redemption coming down as Jesus does not have ultimatum available. He used it to pick up the kill onto Trick. Super minions, 1, 2, 3 of them onside the Nexus. Perks! A 3-man stun! Perks may have just won the game for Fnatic. Keep your eyes on Reckless. He needs to pull off a miracle. The captain, the caller, he can't do it. G2 Esports, they stop Fnatic in their tracks and advance to their 3rd split finals.
The adaptation from G2 Esports this series shows why they're so hard to beat in Europe, shows why they're good in these best-of series, that they sadly don't actually get to play that often because they're often slotted into the semi-final. And
yeah, all their international failures have been in
best of ones.
Best of ones. Well, technically, a spread out best of 1, best of 2 scenario where they can't adapt too much. But they show that they've learned. Trick in game 2 was a great example of adapting his style, even further enhancing into a ganking style early with the Elise.
They got to feel again how it was playing against Fnatic with the communication, what you had to kind of get ready for.
The signature Reckless Soa synergy ganks. Expect masterfully dodged them, danced around them, bought so much time in every single game later on.
This was still a series for me as well where I felt like so many players got to shine individually. Like even this last game here, Reckless ended up 7-1-4 on this Tristana. Tried his hardest to carry Fnatic, and it was really fun to see like all these good players face off against each other.
What I like about the series as well, it shows that Fnatic and their style can be good.
Yes.
But when they come up against a team with a deeper arsenal, with more tools available and options to tweak, then Fnatic, they struggled as the series plays out.
But it makes the remainder of playoffs even more exciting because Fnatic, they talked about the unleashed animal style that they learned in scrims from which team? The Unicorns.
Fear our horns.
Fear their horns, and they're on the other side of the bracket. And imagine if they make it to the finals, they see that their style works against G2. This kind of rash aggression, switch it up, don't always play 2 meta game. And it could be another good clash of styles.
Could extremely be, and especially for a team like UOL, who's just been on such an upswing.
Yeah.
Really,
well, they got to
really
win tomorrow
impressive.
first.
Of course they do. And of course, what that means now, G2, they will appear Championship Sunday in the ULCS Spring Split. Fnatic will once again play in a 3rd place battle. Last split, they didn't make it that far.
But they get to go to the events, and that's so important for these players, especially if you want to grow. Like, yes, it sucks not losing the final, but they get to have a taste of what it's like.
It's a completely new roster, you know, this is your first split. You play against a team that didn't make any changes on the Rift, a team who obviously added more coaches, added more infrastructure, and a team that almost went completely undefeated through this entire EU LCS. So G2 came in as favorites, and they showed why.
Yeah, and of course, if you do want to see Fnatic on Saturday or G2 on Sunday, there are still tickets available. Head over to eu.lolesports.com. You can come see. We know at least 2 of the participants. It'll either be UOL or Misfits facing both of the respective squads.
Yeah, because a lot of these players, they say, you know what, if I'm not first, I don't care if I'm second, third, or fourth. But they still say second, third, or fourth, because the feeling you get from getting on that stage and knowing what it's like to play an arena event and then potentially even seeing this other team lift a trophy, that is what fuels your passion for the next split entirely, to try just a little bit harder, communicate it a little bit better, so that you're the team on stage fighting for that trophy.
Talking about the teams that were on stage today, player of the series, a lot of great performances from everybody.
Yeah.
When it comes to the vote, it was Perks that was the victor of player of the series, and had some great performances. His Echo from earlier in the series, Casio as well.
Yeah, it's one of the things we talked about during the series, how this guy received so much hate from some of their problems and failures of G2 last year. But then this split really grown so much as a person, but also as a player, and just become like so consistent. Early game, mid game, late game, like there's no part of the game anymore where you can say Perks is looking shaky or weak.
And the community wanted the bad boy, they got one, and
then they didn't want the bad boy.
Then they didn't want the bad boy anymore, because as long as it wins, it's fine if he's a bad boy. So like this guy had to kind of like stay shut for a while, but he is so consistent right now, and it's nice to see a player go up, take a hit, and then go back up again, because that marks that he's here to stay. Because you have like players that are good for maybe a few weeks or a few months, they peak and then they retire and they become a caster or something, right? Like it's not what you want. You want people that can stay around at a high level.
So you retired in your peak? Because I saw you before you retired.
No,
he had a very low peak. He had a very low peak.
It takes a few people a long time to realize that there is no second peak.
No, we all realized. We knew you were heading down.
Let's focus on Perks.
Okay, Perks, great player.
It's a great player, great series. I think, again, it's one of those ones where both teams walk with their heads held high. It was going to be a long shot, right? Fnatic were the underdogs. And unfortunately, G2, the superior team, they once again make their 3rd split final.
It's why it's so good Fnatic won the first game, because it really just like ignited the entire series. And it was like, oh, can Fnatic do it? The style is working all of a sudden.
I believe in game 4, even when they were starting to make these cross-map plays.
Got the kills
the Caps escape right there on the teleport.
Mithy baiting his AD carry with the lantern.
Unlucky.
It all happened.
It's his fault. Entirely Mithy's fault, and glad you talked about that, because over in LA, the first NALCS semifinal is about to get underway between Phoenix One and Cloud9. Be sure to check it out. But here in Berlin, we're going to check in with Pyro, who's sitting down with Mithy, who baited Sven with that lantern.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm joined by the All-Star support and Mithy. Well, you guys turned it back around from game 1. Were you worried at all after honestly getting crushed in 1 to turn it back for 3?
I was worried a little bit after game 1 because we had not played against like such a fast-paced style before, like especially not on stage. So it was really surprising, and I think we had the right draft on game 1. Like we proved it on the second game, but we just kind of like made a mistake, and then they just snowballed through us. So.
Yeah, what do you think about this lightning animal style that it's been coined from Fnatic? Do you think this is something that's going to start being adapted by other teams?
I think it's honestly, I wouldn't call it animal. I think there's like a lot of thought behind what they do, but yeah, I think like you can adapt to it, and it's like I think if you play good, their style doesn't work. Like if you play good, then their drafts and stuff, like it gives you an advantage early game that you can like snowball through, and you have like better win conditions that they do, but they kind of like just do a lot of like random stuff that catches you off guard and forces you to make a mistake. So it kind of works out. But I feel like if teams get stronger and like more consistent, their style will become like worse. Yeah.
Yeah, and throwing you guys off guard is something that hasn't really happened that much in the European LCS. G2 has been, famous for being at the top pretty much consistently. You guys hadn't lost a split or a series until up against Rocket in week 10. Do you think that loss and then now this Fnatic experience has like helped you guys become a better team?
Well, the Rocket loss definitely helped us because we had like a 4-week period where I think it was 4 weeks, where we were like actually all very demotivated and like burned out, and just in general like didn't really like have the drive to be super good. Because, like we had it at the start of the split, but we kind of like reached a slump, and it wasn't really like a gameplay slump, but more of a like the way we approached training and stuff. There was not really anything to play for because we were already like qualified like we were already first place like 4 weeks in, you know, like after IEM and everything, we had like 0 losses. So I guess like that kind of, especially with how much we were working on everything, kind of like put everyone in like a burnout period for a second, you know, and we kind of like just like brought ourselves together, and the Rocket loss even helped us out because everyone's chip was like, okay, now it's time to try hard again, you know, and I think it was good, yeah.
That's definitely time to turn things around. You guys are heading to a finals, and you know, Mithy, for you, this is actually going to be your 5th trip to the LCS finals, going all the way back to your time on Lemon Dogs. What's different for you this time? What feels different?
Actually, yeah, I haven't really not gone to a final since I play on LCS, so that's pretty cool. I don't think there's, I mean, the difference doesn't really come from like now and then. It's more like now everything is just so much more professional, and teams just work harder and are more prepared, and or just not harder because we played a lot in Lemon Dogs, but we just like work better, you know, like we practice better and everything. So I think just like time has like made me mature more, and league has also matured too. So that's the only thing that's really changed.
Things improving, always getting better. And you know, speaking of improvements, the 2 opponents that you could possibly face up against, Misfits or Unicorns of Love, are both looking pretty hot right now. Who do you think you'll face in the finals?
I don't know, really. Honestly, I thought Misfits was going to lose to Splice, and then they 3-2 came back. So I'm never going to count Misfits out anymore. I think Unicorn's style is a little bit like Fnatic. They don't play the same way, but they have like the same kind of thing where if you play consistently good, you are able to beat them. I don't know. Like I don't know who's gonna win, but like I said before, I think I said it in an interview. Like if I don't win, I don't really care. You know, if I lost now or I lost in the finals, you know, we want to go to MSI and like have one more chance to like just do well internationally, and that's what we're fighting for.
Opponent doesn't matter and eyes on the prize. Well, I have one last question for you, Mithy. You've been very outspoken, the whole team has, and how much you guys need the fan support to kind of keep on moving and get motivated. Do you want to say anything to those fans in the G2 Army?
Well, just like looking at it from my perspective, I feel like, okay, let's word this properly, okay? I feel like G2 has made like a lot of bad decisions, like for example MSI, and like our performance at Worlds was not good, and so on, and also like Luca being outspoken, and just like things hasn't gone like very well for us, like our interaction with the fans, right? But at the end of the day, we are the European team that like one of the most like important European teams right now in terms of like performance, right? And it would be nice if just everyone gave us like the shot of like the trust to like just believe in us, you know, because we are really working really hard, and we are putting like the most effort I have ever put in to like just like prove that that we can do well internationally, and I have done well internationally before. But I think just like having the moral support of the fans behind us, and not like having people laughing at us when we're actually like working hard for you guys to just like make you guys proud, you know, it would be nice. That's really all.
Well, I think if you have to ask me, you've absolutely earned it. So I hope you see more of that coming through the future. And thank you for taking the time. Congratulations, Mithy.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see these guys in the finals. For now, though, we're going to hand it off to Shox and Crew for the post-game lobby.
Thank you very much, Pyra, and welcome indeed, everybody, to the post-game lobby, where I'm joined by Andrew Vetti's Day Amazing, and of course G2's victorious mid laner and player of the series. Perks, congrats, man.
Nice.
Nice. Good series. Super insightful interview there with Mithy, and I thought it was really nice the fact that he kind of said, well, hey, it would be nice to get some support because we are standardly delivering and doing well. So how do you reflect on your performance today and turning things around after that game 1?
Well, my performance today was, I think, pretty good. Just in game 1 and 2, I was a bit lost because it was the first time I ever played against this kind of style where their whole family is going mid. Like, they have a Soul who is always pushing, and they have a early game jungle Elise, and Gragas wants to dive me on every wave, and they have a Twitch with stealth, and they have any flashing with stun, and I didn't know really, like, I couldn't really do much against it, and they have come prepared, like, with the strategy of sweeping level 1 or whatever. So I don't know like what is all that from, but yeah, I think my performance was today good besides the early games where I felt a bit lost.
In the beginning of the split, you actually commented that you personally were also focusing on different things this split, you know, not tilting as much and treating the game differently. Has those 3 coaches and your system helped you in this scenario, the team, after that game 1?
Well, I would say yes, but I would not say I was ever like a tilter or something. I think maybe I was just kind of choked on world stage, like really choked under my pressure of my own expectations. I don't actually tilt after losing games in series or whatever. I was really calm after game 1 today, even though we got 19-1 and I couldn't believe it a bit. But I would say that my experience from last year as a player, I've been playing 11 months in a row, so I've been through wins and losses, and also the additional stuff to the team, combined with my experience, has made me grow as a player and a person a lot. So I think that this split was definitely an uprise again for me, and will only keep going up, I think.
Yeah, well, obviously, Mitty said it as well. You don't care about second, third, or fourth. You want to get to MSI and get another chance to prove it. And you guys took a big step towards that today because you won a series against Fnatic 3-1 and secured a spot in the final next Sunday. Amazing. He's sitting next to you. But what did you think in general of G2's performance and resilience in the series?
I actually like that they adapted to Fnatic's playstyle because, like, if you really haven't played against it at all in scrims whatsoever, like 1 or 2 games of that kind of caliber, like that kind of early game, can really not just catch you off guard, but actually just completely upset you and like force you into a defensive mode. But I think that G2 like partially adapted, but still kept their own like style and kept their own integrity intact. So it was really impressive.
And I wonder from you, Perks, because when you are put in this sort of a situation where you see all these interesting things, you have all these random champions thrown at you, and you do have so many people showing their love towards you in the mid lane. How does communication go within the team? How do you adapt from series to series? Because it did seem that through each game, you just got better and better and better.
Well, we realized their style is like that, so we just decided to ban Soul, which is kind of like a... you can't do anything against the champ, basically, if enemies have like those ganking champs, so he can always push, and you have to respect that. They can always gank you because you can just ult, and then if you play a mobile champ like Orianna or Syndra, you get ulted from half a lane, and you basically just die because you can't do anything. And so I had to respect that. And after that, I felt like really useless, and mid lane control was non-existent. So we just had to change the ban, and we all realized which champ it was, and it was Sol. I mean, it's also partially Elise, but yeah, I think Caps performed well on Sol. So.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Caps in general. We heard from a lot of mid laners on the desk here that mechanically he is very strong, and obviously he's a rookie, but how do you see him progressing in the summer split and maybe beyond that?
Well, I think as of now, like, he's just a really talented player. Like, he has really good mechanics, and his understanding of matchups are pretty well, but I think he has a lot to learn, like, in regards of performing on stage as well as he does online, and just overall experience, not tilting or whatever, game knowledge, etc. Like everything that a more experienced player would have. But I think in like next split or even next year, he will be like a top tier mid laner for sure. Yeah, that's what I want to comment on as well. You said often that you're going for that arc and learning more, and he's just at the beginning of that. So now it's up to him to show that he can grow. Amazing if we take a step back and look at Fnatic as a whole. Obviously Broxa, but the other guys as well. Losing is, of course, not fun, but they should be able to have some pride in what they ramped up by the end of the split, or how do you think they will react? I think they can be proud about like how they progressed, because obviously that's such a bad mid of the split after like basically IEM came in, and recovering from that, like it takes such a toll on you, like as a player, especially if you're not used to losing, which obviously like you're not used to if you're Reckless, if you're Caps who's new to stage 2, and so on. You may be just like thinking like, how can we get out of this, and may not find an answer to that. But they found an answer to that, like basically pray to their own gods and like play to their own style in that case, and just followed Reckless. Even though he's not typically a leader, he still like kind of made a almost like shift in the game happen and gave them an identity, which is impressive.
And I think that it's worth remembering that Fnatic, as well as an organization, did say that this was an investment, right? The goal was to improve as a team, to build this full European roster. And while the start may not have gone as well, there's a possibility that this team can still get top 3 in Europe. So as a first split with a brand new team coming together, I think that's a pretty significant achievement. Definitely. Also have a chance to hear from one of the Fnatic members himself. Soaz is standing by with Pyra, or the other way around.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Taking a segue here, and so as it's unfortunate you guys couldn't pull out the win today, but you started incredibly strong, and in all honesty, that one game looked amazing on its own. What do you feel about your performance today? How do you feel about overall play?
Well, game 1 was good in terms of communication, and all the game went for us, obviously. Game 2 was pretty good too, start and stuff, but I just felt like we didn't know to push the lead and we failed to push it, sort of. Like when we died on top lane as 2 and then we kind of threw our lead and we didn't look too much for opportunities and stuff. And after Game 2, it just went downhill and it just didn't feel like we communicated too much. We didn't use Shen very well. Besides, like the last game was pretty good in terms of like playing with Shen, but first game with Shen was pretty bad. We didn't communicate very well around it. So I think first 2 games were good, but after it was kind of bad.
Well, you can't always have it in a best-of-5 series, and it looks like a few communications still lingering, but the growth for Fnatic has been honestly pretty phenomenal over the last few weeks. Are you satisfied with what's happened over the course of the back half of the split?
Well, it would have been nicer to go to the finals, obviously. I think if we are not facing G2, we would have most likely make it to the finals, in my opinion, and get a final against G2. So it was a bit unfortunate that we had to face them on semis. But expectation, it depends of the weeks, you know. Like sometimes you feel good and you feel like you can do more, and sometimes you're a bit, like screams are a bit shaky and stuff, so you don't really know what to expect from LCS or anything. So I guess like beating H2K was kind of unexpected for everyone, so it was pretty good in the end. Like it would have been nicer to do more, obviously, but it was an okay split, I guess.
Fair enough, and you guys will have a whole nother one in summer, and as we were saying on the desk, it's possible you guys can be a top 3 team heading into the World Championship. Do you feel like you guys can make it there, given your current performance?
I think we can, but we need to we know to play this sort of style, but we need to do more and practice more stuff and try to be able to play the right way, like G2 does, sort of, you know. So it's good that we can play this style, but it will also be good if we can do more than just this.
Well, we'll see how you guys evolve as you go. It's been a pleasure to watch, and thank you for joining me, Soaz.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's the insight from us. We're going to head back over to the desk to take a look at it further.
Thank you. Nice insights from Soaz there. And yeah, as anticipated, of course, not entirely happy, but seeing the fact that they improved as a good point. But after G2's win today, there is just one spot left up for grabs in next week's championship match. Tomorrow, we will have the Unicorns of Love going up against Misfits. So first, let's talk about who might possibly win that matchup. Amazing. I want to start with you because I have the feeling you have some strong feelings about that matchup.
I really, really, really don't think Misfits should have made it, like in Splice. So I really think that Misfits will be destroyed by Unicorns, because Unicorns is so good at playing like the meta still, like, and actually like understanding what the enemy is doing, but creating counterplays to it. So they're actually at the spot earlier than enemies at every point. So I expect them to read Misfits like a book and beat them 3-0 or 3-1.
That is
wow. Well, personally, I think that there's going to be the jungle matchup is going to be one of the exciting ones, seeing how well the rookie of the split, Cersei, does up against Kakao. We've seen a lot of differing opinions on Kakao, depending on what he can play. He brought a lot of Rengar out with some mixed success, but it does certainly seem that a lot of it also revolves around the success of those mid laners, Exile and Power of Evil.
All right, Perks, what do you think?
I wouldn't underrate Misfits, and I wouldn't underrate Unicorns either, so I think it's going to go to 5 games either way. I don't have like a plain prediction, it's just that I think that both Misfits and Unicorns are actually strong teams with obvious flaws, like somewhere. Like Unicorns, Miller sometimes is kind of on and off, and it's going to depend mostly on his performance, whether his team makes it or not. That's what I think.
All right, well, we will see if that happens. Now, we have been speculating, of course, which of these team styles, if any, could possibly beat G2 in a final, and the Unicorns of Love quickly come up because you think that they can also, as said by Amazing, play the standard and then adapt to whatever is thrown at them. So I kind of want to go down the line, maybe starting with Perks and saying, okay, a Unicorns or a Misfits, is there a chance that they beat you? Because that is the question. You haven't been beaten until now for 2 splits rather.
Well, if we were to be beaten, I think it will be against Unicorns over Misfits, because us and Misfits play this kind of the same style. Just that I would say that we have a lot stronger laners. Last time we faced them, it went good for us. And I think Unicorns have like more aggressive approach on every lane, and they can throw us off guard with different picks and just their playstyle. I think if anyone has a chance, it's Unicorns over Misfits. Yeah.
I think that I think he makes a great point. I think that Unicorns of Love play a better version of Fnatic style. I think that they are more refined with their picks, and while they are creative, they better understand how to use it. And that could catch G2 off guard, but regardless, I think it will definitely be an uphill battle for whoever comes through the other semifinal.
Wow, will it be that much of an uphill battle? Do you agree? Or
I don't know. Like, I mean, it really depends on how good Unicorns really is, because I mean, as both people said, you know, I agree with that. Unicorns is probably like the one that's going to be able to upset G2 if anything. Simply because Misfits is so standard in that play and like basically weaker than G2 on lanes and in play in general too, that Unicorns, if they refine their playstyle a bit more and they're actually able to really like play the map similar to how G2 is able to play it, while creating like similar like advantages to Fnatic that they did in the early game, I think they could do it, but it's only in those cases.
Yeah, and it must be nice to hear people talking about like who could do it, because everyone's regarding you guys as the strongest team in the race.
Well,
sometimes.
It's nice and it's not nice because it puts a lot of pressure. Like it's for us for a whole year and a half. It's always that G2 has to win. Or Europe is so bad because we failed at Worlds. So Europe is so bad, G2 is so bad, every other team is just worse, you know. So it's kind of sad to see that how people think of our region. And I want to go to MSI just to redeem myself and the whole team. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you bring up a good point. You can't win, actually. You can't win because you have that kind of burden of not doing good internationally so far. If you win domestically, well, the region sucks. So it must be a hard thing to work against.
Well, it's fine because it's all in your mental anyways. Like, you don't have to put too much pressure on yourself and just prepare for the worst too. Like, it's not end of the world if you lose. But you have to have the strive to win no matter what. So it's kind of like a mind battle, I would say, and it's kind of fun. Yeah, I like this situation right now.
Yeah, it's nice to watch you guys, and we'll see if you go to MSI what you can do. But I just want to ask you finally, maybe, are you excited to go to that arena in Hamburg to play in front of that big crowd again and show what you got? How important is that to you?
I really want to visit Hamburger. Like, I love to travel over the world. It was like my dream when I was a kid. So I want to visit as many cities as possible, and I want to play in front of 5,000 people again. Or I don't know how much it will be, but it's always nice when you make a play and everyone goes like woo, yeah. And everyone is like clapping and stuff. And yeah, it's an awesome feeling, and I can't wait to play again in finals. Yeah, great arena, and Hamburg, a fantastic city as well. So we'll be excited to see you guys there, and we'll see who you be up against. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. Perks, Amazing, and Verius, of course, after this semi-final. And be sure to tune in tomorrow for our second semi-final between Misfits and the Unicorns of Love. Our coverage of that series starts at 5 p.m. Central European Time, summertime, that is. Don't be late. See you!
Today we can show them that bots do not bleed.
Flashes? He dies?
Got it. Nice.
Nice space though.
The Stranglethorns is available for Jesus. Look at the damage from the spray and pray. Miffy goes down. Double kill Fnatic.
Alright, no flash, no flash. Nice. Baron, baby.
Holy shit, I don't have to do anything.
Perks, the last man standing under the fountain. Fnatic hit the Nexus turrets and the Nexus. Fnatic fire first in Europe's first semi-final.
No one expects it!
Flash, stun, expects in trouble. First blood will be picked up by Fnatic, and it's Reckless that gets it.
This is so dirty, man!
Reckless takes so much damage. 200 HP, Trick goes in. End of the line for a double kill. Baron is enlisted. It's helping out Fnatic as expect is being shot and pummeled by the autos. Trick is fighting on the flanks and Soaz and Caps trying to clean up. Perks has got away. Miffy's got away. Reckless stays alive for a few seconds before the tactical sweep takes him out. With Fnatic losing their damage dealers, Cap and Reckless, this should be an easy cleanup. 46 minutes. Take down the Nexus to even the series 1-1. He's gonna get jumped on Stand United, delivers Soaz under the tower. Shadow Dash taunts up, but he stays alive, and escapes.
No flash there. I have TP, guys. I have TP, don't worry. Nice.
He's doing Baron, by the way. Look at Broxy, he's gonna steal it.
He's gonna steal it. Fnatic stole the Baron. Well, G2 don't care. They drop the Nexus. They're one win away from their third LCS final. Negative Nancy's gonna be a sad Miffy, gonna flay Jizzes away, but he's locked inside the ultimatum. Reckless has got one.
Lead up here. Sorry, I forgot my mistake. Oh my god, it's you. Oh my god, sorry. No flash. I got it. Nice.
Minutes and 30 seconds. Reckless and the rest of Fnatic want to clean up. Reckless is gonna leave.
He's outside.
Locked the ultimatum. Sends Spin packing. It's a double kill for Reckless. Buys a few seconds of time. He can't connect to the Sonic Wave. Flash, slap. Caps takes one down. Now he's dropped. His Spin's got a double kill in reply.
Finer. Nice. No. Nice.
G2 Esports, they stop Fnatic in their tracks and advance to